Hello, welcome to another video from EarnPED.com. I'm StevieB. Happy to have you all with us today. Let's get started with some sips to get this going the right way. So today's video, guys, I'm going to do my best to explain how loot works in Entropia Universe. Now, bear with me, this video may be longer than my usual videos, and just run with me on this. So this is a question I get quite often, both from people who play the game and from people who do not, and I'm going to try and explain it to the best of my ability. So let's assume that it wasn't Entropia. Let's assume it was a single slot machine, and we only had this one machine to work with, and it cost $1 every time you wanted to spin it, and every single time you got paid, it was going to pay you back 95 cents. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts, 95 cents every single spin, regardless of what happened on the screen. Now, obviously, you wouldn't play that slot machine very often, right? Okay, well, let's put that in terms of Entropia. There is a cost to kill every creature. Now, let's assume that cost was 100 PED. Let's just use round numbers here. Let's assume every creature cost 100 PED to kill, exactly, every single time. No ifs, ands, or buts. And let's assume it paid you back 95 PED every single time. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, not very many people would play Entropia for very long if that was true. Not very many people would play the slot machine if that was true. If you got back 95 cents every time you put in $1, nobody would play a slot machine, nor would anybody play a video game that worked in essentially the same functional manner, correct? So the thing is, we know that our returns are going to be less than 100%. We know that long term, our TT returns are going to be somewhere in the area of 95%. And MindArc is smart enough not to make it so obvious that when we pump in $1, we just get 95 cents back every single time. If that was the case, nobody would play for very long. Nobody would probably play at all. So instead, what ends up happening is sometimes, let's use round numbers here, let's go with 10 PED. Let's say the cost to kill a creature is 10 PED. Sometimes we get back exactly 10 PED. Sometimes we get back 8 PED. Sometimes we get back 11 PED. The number varies a little bit. Now we know that our returns are going to be 95%. Whenever we look at it a week, a month, a year, 10 years down the road, whenever we actually keep track via spreadsheets, we know that our TT returns are going to be 95%. We know that because MindArc has to make money, right? But when we're actually looting the creature, even though we're pumping 10 PED in to kill the creature, we're going to get back 7. We're going to get back 12. We're going to get back 9. We're going to get back 16. We're going to get back 10, 10, 10, 11, 12, 10, 9, 7, 6, 15. It's going to bounce around a little bit. That is normally how things work. Now, why do we have globals? Why do we have HOFs? Well, let's go with a simple scenario. Let's say that we were pumping in, again, let's go with 100 PED per kill, and let's assume that we were getting back 90 PED every single time. Now, we know that long term our returns are going to be 95%, but let's say we're getting back 90 PED every single kill. So 100 PED in, 90 PED out every single time. Well, what's happening is that other 5%, that other 5 PED, is essentially going into the loot pool, and at some point we hit a really good multiplier that's going to give us that swirl, that's going to give us that global, that's going to give us that Hall of Fame. When we get that, usually that's not us making a massive profit. Usually what that is that extra 5% that we hadn't been getting back, all of a sudden being returned to us in one lump sum. So if we're pumping in 100 PED a kill and getting back 90 PED, 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 then that other 5 PED every time is just getting stashed aside, stashed aside, stashed aside, stashed aside, stashed aside. So whenever we do hit that swirl, whenever we do hit the global or HOF, all that 5% that's been stashed aside, stashed aside, stashed aside just got returned to us. This is why I say globals and Hall of Fames don't give you profit. They simply take the variance out of the game. They simply take the swings out, because that difference between what you've actually been getting in your returns and that theoretical 95% you should have at the end of the day, that's essentially just getting returned to you in one lump sum. This is why I said Halloween and Christmas Mayhem 2022 did not work how they were supposed to. There was no variance getting taken out. There was none of that return being made to us. We were just throwing our PED cards out the window. we should have been hitting those Hall of Fames. We should have been hitting those globals to get that variance taken out, to have that extra returned back to us, and it just did not seem to happen, which is why I said, it seems MindArt has some kind of year-end bonus they're wanting to give themselves. Well, little did I know they were taking the company public about a month later, but that's beside the point. So, knowing this information, we can extrapolate even further. People ask me all the time, okay, so if that's the case, if you know you're going to lose that 5%, then why even play? Here's the example I always like to give everybody. Let's assume you had a casino that had 100 slot machines in it, and you knew that every single slot machine in the building has a 95% return, without question. But there was one slot machine out of all of those slot machines that was a little bit different. It was a little bit unique. This one particular machine didn't just pump out cash like the rest of them. Every now and then, this one slot machine, on rare occasions, would actually pump out a silver dollar. So every other machine in the building pumps out cash, but this one machine, on a rare occasion, every now and then will spit out a silver dollar. Which machine are you going to play? Well, I would play the one that spits out the silver dollar. The reason being is the silver content is worth far more than $1. So if I play all the other machines, I'm just losing 5% endlessly for entertainment value. However, if I play this machine, what I can do is I can save the silver dollars that it does spit out, and then I can take those into the open market and I can sell them for their silver content. The silver in a silver dollar is worth what, 15, 20 bucks these days? So if I'm getting it for face value when it's being spit out of the machine, I can then take it onto the open market and sell it in the economy for 15, 20 bucks. I'm doing pretty good. And that's going to make up a lot more than that 5% that I lost, theoretically, right? Well, this is the same with Entropia. We can hunt mobs that don't have any markup, and we're just essentially losing 5% over and over and over endlessly. Or we can hunt mobs that have loot in their loot pool that people actually want, that actually has demand, that actually has markup, and when we get that loot, we can save it. And then we can sell it on auction, or we can sell it in a private trade, or on Cali Trade, or on the forums, or whatever. And the amount of money that we make off of selling that loot will hopefully be equal to or greater than the money that we lost trying to loot it in the first place. So this is very, I know, generic, but I'm trying to give you guys a general understanding of how most of these mechanics work. From what we know. Not theory, not loot theories. This is what we know. So now let's take that and let's go a little bit further so we can actually make some use out of it here in Entropia, especially with the TWEN event. So every creature in-game does indeed have a cost to kill. We know that. The amount of PED that it takes us from decay and ammo burn to kill the creature is different on a puny creature with 20 HP than it's going to be on a drone exterminator with 7,000 HP, right? The more HP a mob has, the greater the cost to kill, generally speaking. We also know that we aren't going to get back the cost of the kill every single time. There's a lot of times we can expect it to be fairly close to what we get back in the loot, but sometimes we're going to get much, much less than the cost to kill. Sometimes we're going to get much, much more. And what we know is that every now and then we're going to get those globals, those Hall of Fame. So we don't really have to be upset whenever we loot a creature and we get less than what it costs to kill, because we know that long term our returns are going to be 95% pretty much no matter what, as long as we just keep going. And what this means is that when we do get those globals, we do get those hops, we know it's taking the variance out, right? So that allows us to be free to look at the game and say, where is the markup? Where is the loot that I can turn around and sell and make money off? Well, that cost to kill and those multipliers and those average returns per loot are important in the context of something like the 20th anniversary event. So if you guys noticed, I was hunting foul a ridiculous amount. I'm still going to be hunting foul a ridiculous amount. And the reason I'm hunting foul a ridiculous amount is A, some of the loot that they offer I am after. That is true. However, they are also very easy to kill. They only have 100 HP, so I can kill them very, very, very quickly. That gives me many, many, many kills per hour. If the rule for the 20th anniversary event is you simply must be killing something, then the more somethings I can kill, the better. The more times I can hit the loot button, the more times I have a chance of the system going, congratulations, you get a 20th anniversary item. Now here's the problem. Foul having a very, very low cost to kill does indeed make them easy to kill quickly, and I can kill a whole lot of them. However, it also makes it very, very difficult to get loots that have any substantial amount to them whatsoever. My cost to kill a foul is roughly 35 pek. Now the global threshold on a foul is 10 ped. However, if my cost to kill is only 35 pek, I've got to hit a pretty freakishly high multiplier in order to even hit the 10 ped global threshold, right? So why is that a problem in the context of the 20th anniversary event? Well, in the context of the 20th anniversary event, the items that drop are unlimited items, and their TT value varies from item to item. Some of these 20th anniversary items have a TT value of, let's say, 25 ped at full TT. Some of these 20th anniversary items have a TT value at full TT of over 4,000 ped. Eve looted the Strike Hammer Improved 20th anniversary event, or 20th anniversary edition, yesterday. I thought she got it from a drone exterminator. Turns out she got it from the harvester from the robot event that they did yesterday, day before, something like that. So she was doing that CDF robot invasion event that I made a video about, and it dropped from a harvester. Well, what we've noticed is whenever these items drop, they don't drop at full TT value. Usually they drop at between 5 to 10% of the full TT value. So when the improved Justifier twin was discovered, full TT on that weapon, if you fully repaired it at a repair terminal, would be 1,000 ped. However, when it dropped with 90 ped of TT value. Most of the 20th anniversary items seem to be dropping somewhere in the area of the 5 to 10% of TT value area. Now, the improved Strike Hammer, I believe, has a TT value at full TT of like 4,300 ped, somewhere in there, and it dropped with like 622 ped. But generally speaking, the more that we've seen be looted, what we can extrapolate is it seems that most of these 20th anniversary items are dropping with about 5 to 10% of their TT value intact. So if that's the case, and there have been cases far lower, there was I believe it was the Short Blade 10 20th anniversary, the TT value on it when it was first discovered was only 1 ped. So it dropped with very, very little TT value. But generally speaking, what we can extrapolate is if we're going to be hunting and we're going to loot a 20th anniversary item, we've got to be able to have a loot threshold high enough to justify that 5 or 10% of the item's TT value. So on a foul, if my cost to kill is only 35 pek, I would have to hit pretty ridiculously high multipliers in order to even cross the looting threshold to get to 5 ped or to get to 10 ped, much less 20, 30, 40, 50 ped on a foul with only a 35 pek cost to kill. That would make it very, very hard to loot anything but the lowest TT value 20th anniversary items. Doesn't mean it's impossible. That's why I like foul, is you can kill many, many, many an hour, which increases that possibility. However, if there's something else that has a higher cost to kill, like Thorifoid, that I can still kill a fairly decent number of per hour, then it takes that threshold for the loot and it kind of makes it a little bit easier to work with. If it's costing me about 1.5 ped to kill a Thorifoid, I don't have to hit a very high multiplier to get to 15, 20, 30 ped, 40, 50 ped even. So even if I was to only hit a loot for, let's say, 15 ped on a Thorifoid, well, that is only about a 15-time multiplier on a Thorifoid for me. And yet that's still high enough that it would give me the ability to get anything in the loot that is 10% of the TT value. So essentially, what I'm saying is, if it costs me, let's go with multipliers of 10, for instance. If it costs me 1.5 ped to kill a Thorifoid, and I hit a 10-time multiplier, that's a 15 ped loot, right? Now I'm going to hit that pretty often. Well, if we know these items are dropping at 5 to 10% of their TT value, and I hit a 15 ped loot, that means that theoretically, any 20th anniversary item that 15 ped is 10% or less of TT value should theoretically be within my reach. Should theoretically be within my loot threshold. So it means that I could loot a 20th anniversary item that has a potential full TT value of 150 ped or less. So a 1.5 ped cost to kill, knowing I'm going to get 10-time multipliers pretty often, so I'm going to get 15 ped loots pretty often, means that theoretically I could loot a 20th anniversary item that has a full TT value of up to, quote-unquote, 150 ped. Now let's put that in context of FAL. 35 ped per kill, so a 10-time multiplier, which I'm going to hit pretty often, is 3.5 ped. That means that the 20th anniversary items I would loot would likely have a maximum TT value of 35 ped or less, meaning that it would pretty much be the Short Blade 10 20th anniversary, or it would be the Apollo 20th anniversary. As far as I'm aware, those are the only two that I believe would count at this point. So I opened myself up to a much greater chance to loot a 20th anniversary item, quote-unquote, hopefully, by increasing my cost to kill, because hopefully I'm increasing my ability for the system to drop items that have higher potential TT value, because I know that they're dropping at around that 5 to 10% of TT value, but I wouldn't even be crossing that threshold if I was killing FAL because of their low cost to kill. Puny, or even worse, Puny only have 20 HP, so you can take that and go to the extreme. Is it possible somebody can loot a 20th anniversary item from a Puny? Theoretically, yes. However, the multiplier would have to be so high that it's pretty ridiculous. Now, again, I don't know how the exact loot algorithm works. I have a theory, and there's some other people in the know that tend to agree with me on this. I think that first it says, did you get a 20th anniversary item, this loot? Yes, no. If yes, what was HP of creature killed? Greater than 2,000, less than 2,000, and then it does a second random number generator, and it pulls the actual item from a list. First it decides, did you get a 20th anniversary item in this loot? If yes, then it re-rolls to decide which item you get. I think that's how it works. I'm not positive on that part. But what I do know is that the good and bad side of FAL is you can kill a whole bunch per hour, giving you a lot better chance at having that looting experience where you get the 20th anniversary item. Downside is the low cost to kill limits the amount of 20th anniversary items you could potentially loot to a very, very small number, or you would have to get a loot that had a ridiculously low TT value, versus just increasing the cost to kill just a little bit. You don't have to go insane and go after 6,000 HP mobs. Means that you're going to hit multipliers quite often that are going to make it a lot more likely, or I should say would open the loot pool up to many more 20th anniversary items, knowing where they tend to drop. So I hope that all makes sense to you. If it's a little bit confusing, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to be. It would be a lot easier if I could actually show you on like a whiteboard and work out the actual mathematics and show you examples of different stuff dropping. But I think most of you probably get the idea of what I'm trying to tell you. So, example. Okay, perfect example right here. Daniel Fractal found 20th anniversary Protector of the Empire gloves, female. The value of the item when it dropped was 33 ped. Now that doesn't mean the full TT value is 33 ped. That's just the amount of value the item had when it dropped. So let's say this is a 50 ped pair of gloves, right? I can take it to a repair terminal, throw in 17 ped, and bam, full TT. Okay, well, 33 ped, so if I'm hunting FAL, and it's 35 pec per kill, I'm going to hit 10-time multipliers pretty often. I'm going to get 3.5 ped loots pretty often. I wouldn't have even been able to get near this because this would have required a 100-time multiplier off of a FAL. If it's a 35 pec kill, I would have to hit a 100-time multiplier just to get a 35 ped loot. So if this dropped at 33 ped, there was no way I was ever going to get that, because 100 ped or 100 times multipliers are very, very, very rare, right? So how rare would it have to be? How many times would I have to hit it to get close to this? Versus with a 1.5 ped cost to kill, 33 ped loot is only, what, 20-time multiplier? That's not very unheard of. You hit those pretty often. So my odds of getting something like this are going to be much, much greater simply because of a higher cost to kill. Now, that doesn't mean that items can't drop with very, very low TT values. Like I said, I believe it was the Short Blade 10 dropped with a 1 ped TT value. So very likely could have been looted off of something like a FAL. But needless to say, I'm essentially doing both. Since I don't know exactly how the loot algorithm works when it comes to these 20th anniversary items, I'm essentially splitting the difference. I'm spending about half of my time hunting FAL. I'm spending the other half of my time hunting Thorifoid. I'm working on codex for both. I like the loot for both. I'm after the loot for both. So the fact that these are the two things I would be doing in-game anyway, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just splitting my time. Half the time I'm going after Foul because of the massive amounts of kills per hour. The other half the time I'm going after the Thorifoid because I have the higher cost to kill, which means I don't have to hit very high multipliers to get very decent loots, which hopefully will give me a better shot at a 20th anniversary item from that perspective, or will hopefully at least open the loot pool to more 20th anniversary items so that if I do manage to hit one, I will hopefully hit something that's fairly decent. So I know that might have gotten a little bit confusing, especially for players who are super new to the game, but if you just started today and I lost you anywhere in this video, save this video in your favorites and come back to it 6 months down the road. You'll thank me then. Guys, head over to EarnPED.com because when you earn, we earn. That is by far the best way you guys can help support us. As you can tell, this instance does have a problem. It essentially kicks you and you have to relog, which is why I've just been standing here for about 10 minutes as I talked. Once you go into EarnPED.com, just use the links on the website to go to hideout.tv. It will automatically add EarnPED as a redemption option for your points. No additional work needed on your behalf. Guys, be sure and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that bell icon. When you do those three things, YouTube gives us more exposure, puts these videos in front of people who play PC-based games, MMOs, and real cash economy games. And oftentimes it's the first time they're introduced to Entropia, and because of that, they end up watching the channel, they end up downloading the game, and then the next thing you know, 6 to 12 months later, they're starting their journey at Calypso. They're starting their journey at Camp Icarus. They're working their way through their skill challenges, and they're working on Codex. And that very well may be a future society mate of yours, or could even be somebody who does a trade with you or buy something off of you on auction someday, simply because you hit those buttons. So it helps us, it helps the game, it helps the economy, potentially helps you too. So we really appreciate that. Sip, sip, smack, smack. More content coming for you later this week. Take care, Stevies.